It's the NFL Picks versus the Spread show. I'm from that lovely show called the Lingus Mafia. My name is Cav Manning, and I'm at Lingus Mafia as well, along with our points better extraordinaire, except for this last week. That is Mr. Billy Body.
Yeah, well, there's been some bad weeks. There's more good weeks than bad. This was
always the first week is something. It's a challenge.
I mean, last year we were winning like easily for 4 straight weeks. I mean, we
killed last week. Yeah, we were killing them.
We were like 8-0 combined with our locks when we started out.
Yeah, like we lost 1 or 2 eventually. That was it.
It was 12. It was 12-4 on underdogs last week, winning outright, I think.
So when I looked at what we picked and everything like that, you went 4-12 against the spread from the numbers that we said, and I went 6-10. So we wasn't too fucking special of a fucking week, of course. I believe my lock won, your lock lost. Is that our fucking? I forget what the hell you had as your lock. What was your lock?
I had Tampa straight away.
Oh, mine was San Francisco, and that almost fucking blew it because they're a bunch of fucking assholes. Because it was 7.5, and that fucker eventually got to 8.5, so or 9.5, something like that. So it was a miracle. It was correct because they do onsides. It hits a guy in the face, and they do the we're up by 14. Fuck it, let's all back up. It's always with that shit. And so then it was come down to the last fucking possession. I had them on my survivor pool, too, the 49ers. I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm almost out week 1 again. So.
See, this is the thing between Wednesday and when it comes down to Sunday. I actually, if I went 4-12 on the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but by the time they actually went out, I ended up going 7-8-1. Still not good. But I know I'm in one
Big
of those.
Difference.
In one of those pools. Yeah, it's 3 picks better. But by the time the games came around, I had obviously correctly changed my mind on 3 picks. I wonder what those ones were, because I know
it wasn't the Packers game.
No, but some of the main ones, some of the main ones I liked on the show, they did end up becoming plays. I know that I was wrong about Minnesota, because I was quite high on them. I definitely was wrong about the Titans. Seattle, I got right. Right. That was one of the big plays. Packers, I got wrong as well. Obviously, I lost the lock on the Bucks. I lost on the Ravens on Monday. I'm trying to think of the ones I got right, though, and changed my mind on them.
You know what? The shocking one that I was right on, very shocking, I said Carolina to win, but the Jets with the points, and it was 5.5, and I got that one. I'm like, ooh, look at that. I fucking picked the team not to win, but to cover. That's fucking rough for us. We never do that shit. Yeah, we'll go into a couple of the games that were very surprising. And I'm see, this is what I like too. I like during the games, Billy, I don't think you should comment to me anything about the game, because I like to hear for the first time your thoughts about what was going on. Like, I didn't say much about the Packer game because I was like, I want to get it on this show. I don't want to go, oh, the Packers suck on, what do I care on a text message? And because that was more startling than like a ha-ha, they fucking blew, because that's not a very normal. Rodgers almost looked like, if you didn't know better, that he was trying to fucking lose and get out of there. Like, trade me. Look, I'm bad. It was... He's on the run throwing like he's never that off. And he was off like Mitch style off. Like, he threw one where the guy was covered and he said, fuck it, and threw a bomb and wasn't even close to the guy. And the safety just came over like it was his own team and fucking intercepted. And he did a jump throw. It was fucking bizarre. But they just got fucking handled to where... Well, if there's a get-right game this week, it's perfect for them because they're going against Detroit, who gives up 1 billion fucking points every game. So I think Rodgers is going to have some shit to prove this week. And so if he is really, like, if he's mediocre to bad this week, then there's room to say he might be fucking through. Or he doesn't give a fuck and doesn't want to fucking even play anymore. Because when I saw him go out there, the first thing I thought was he looked skinny to me. He didn't look like he would survive a season of getting fucking beaten up. And normally he doesn't get hit at all. So now his line, they were starting 2 rookies. His Pro Bowl guy is out as the left tackle, Bakhtiari. And so I'm like, this is a fucking issue because now for the first time, people are hitting him and getting to him at least. So this is not a I have all day to fuck around back here. This is a little bit of run for your life for him, which he's very not used to. So what are your thoughts on the game? We won't get to this week's game and the points yet because that's going to be the very last one of the day. But what were your thoughts on when you were watching this? Were you like, it's only a game, or this is what happens when you don't go to the fucking preseason and don't show up for camp? But he kind of really doesn't show up anyway all these other years. It's not like he plays in a preseason.
I turned it off.
You did?
I turned it off early. Like, I am used to it with this team, like when I can see that
when it's not right,
it's not going to be worth watching. But I mean, there is that statistic. I don't know what it's up to at the moment, but remember there was a statistic with Aaron Rodgers.
The best stat ever.
Yeah, it was over 50%. I think.
Oh, it was like crazy. It was way more than that. It was something fucking insane to where it didn't seem. It was like, no, this has to be like with 2 minutes left or something, because it was if he gets down any points. So it kind of makes it sound like they always score first. So I was like, well, if the other team gets up by any points at all, the likelihood of them losing is fucking very good. I'm surprised you don't watch it because, I mean, for me, I'm used to, my team being horrible, and I need to watch. It's football. For me, it's football. I could watch it.
Yeah, but it wasn't like 7-0. I mean, I turned it off when it was, I think it was 27-3, something like that.
Yeah, but I've dealt with that quite a bit. And I'll leave the TV on. Like, I mean, I also have the advantage of I have multiple games going on, so I don't need to pay attention at least to it. But I have it on because I want to get angry and I want to yell at and I listen to my, hometown radio where everyone's screaming about what the fuck this coach needs to get fired. And for me, it's very odd because I'm kind of rooting for them to lose because I want the fucking coach gone. I want the GM gone. And that's the only way it's going to happen. I'm like, it needs to be bad. And the way it's looking right now, it is looking fucking bad. So let's get into the first game of the week, and that's going to be a game that's coming on in moments. We don't know if anybody's going to be able to hear this in time to be betting on this game, but this is one you'd probably even want to stay away from anyway. This is the 0-1 New York Giants going into the 0-1 Washington football team. Have you seen their possible new names and logos? You there? Go ahead.
No, I didn't hear you because
okay.
it got.
I said, have you seen their possible new name and logos?
No, I thought they were just keeping this now.
No, I think we should have that discussion for next week. I'll send you the ones that are in the running, and there's some fucking slick looking logos. There's some really good ones where I was like, that's a great fucking logo. So yeah, this is they're gonna finally change, but football team is one of the options to tell you. So that's one of the ones that they're actually considering. This game has not changed since Tuesday, the line, and it is Washington giving 3.5. I think Washington is going to win this game. I worry about 3.5, but I'm not terribly worried. So I will give the 3.5, and I will take Washington.
Yeah, I already took this at 4 really early on because I took it as soon as we realized that the quarterback wasn't coming back. So when we knew they were going to end up playing this with Heineke, is it?
Yeah, that's
am I saying it.
Mm-hmm. We call him Heineken for fun, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, as soon as I knew Fitzpatrick wasn't playing and it was going to be Heineke, I took the 4 immediately before it moved.
Really?
Yeah, here's the thing. It's a short week, right? Mm-hmm. It's a short week anyway. The Giants didn't play well in that game. I think their defense is better than that. They were in that game. They made too many mistakes. Like Danny Jones has to protect the ball. Like he can't.
Yeah, he's known for this. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think in this game he'll be more aware of that. I don't think it happens in back-to-back-to-back games. So if he protects the ball, I think that they're more in sync with their offense, and their defense can put up a better game here, especially going up against this quarterback. Now, the short week doesn't help Washington at all. Usually, you would think it wouldn't help the road team here, but it's not a big distance from New York to Washington. Now, Washington's main problem is practice. At the start of the season, when you're coming in at this point of the season, you pretty much got 15, 16 looks that you have, and the first 15, 16 plays that you want to play, and you're familiar with your quarterback. In addition to that, when you're playing the Sunday, Thursday, you probably take Monday off and you come in on Tuesday and have a real practice session, and then it's probably light on Wednesday as well because you've got game the next day. So they have really one major practice session. And that one major practice session would have been designated towards cooking up all of this new shit on one session, or having this quarterback familiarize himself with everything else they're doing. And I'm sure, like, they sit in and take notice, and they try and make it as seamless as possible. At this early stage of the season, I don't think you want to be losing fits at this point. So for me, not only do I like New York to win, because I think all of the facts I just said, the fact that their defense will find it easier to deal with this quarterback and this team that are not in sync, and I think their defense can play better anyway. Plus, obviously, you have Saquon, you have Jones, you have all the usual people there on the offense that should be able to put up a better performance than they did last week. But this total as well. Now, New York, even if they do play better, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to put up 30 points in this game. I think a better performance for them would be something in the 20s, right? Because they didn't get near there last week. So this total for me, with these two quarterbacks playing, is just too high at 40 points, because I think first to 20 will win this. I don't think either of them are capable of scoring a lot more than that. So, I mean, this has probably come down a lot. I didn't check this at the start of the week, but being at 40, 41, where it is now, I still think it'll go under. I just think 20 points wins this game. So if New York can get to 20, 23, 24, something like that, then I think that they'll end up winning outright, not just as a cover. I just don't think Washington looked great in the first game anyway. And now you go away with a short rest and one practice with only like 15, 16 things dialed up anyway. 16 plays, at the forefront of your mind, and they're all designed around having fits there. So I don't know. Like, for me, it's just I really like this play immediately. I think if you're losing your quarterback that early on and then laying 4, playing on a Thursday night, all of these things went through my mind, and I just ended up taking New York. I already gave it out to people because I'm confident about it.
Would you take it with 3.5, or does that change things? Okay.
No, I think anything over a field goal. I think it's these divisional games.
You think they're going to win it flat out anyway? Yeah,
I think these divisional games are close anyway, but I think that they'll win it. I think that the Giants will win this game.
See, I really like Heineke. I thought he was going to be the starter after that playoff fucking game where they nearly fucking beat the Bucks, and they were really. I'm like, who's this guy all of a sudden? And since he was a nobody, they're like still not trusting it. I think this is where he gets to shine and possibly just keeps this job. He's a young enough guy.
Do you know the underdogs in the NFC East last year went 11-1?
No shit.
Right, 11-1 last year.
Man. So, all right, we're different on that first game. So going into Sunday on Fox, we have my game here, and it is 1-0 Cincinnati Bengals going into the 0-1 Chicago Bears, and the Bears are favored by 2.5 points. I am saying the Cincinnati Bengals win this game flat out. This was one of the 4 that I said the Bears would win until I saw what I saw last week. Combination of Cincinnati looking really good and having a very high-powered offense, which is what the Bears just dealt with in Los Angeles with high-powered offense. And the Bears' secondary looked fucking horrific. A guy they paid $1 zillion to. They gave up half the fucking world. Eddie Jackson. He looks like a guy who got paid and now says, well, I don't have to do anything. They broke a record. There was a record that in the last 3 years, the farthest a receiver has been away from any defensive player scoring a touchdown. And the guy was 11 and a half yards was the closest defender to him when it was like a 60-yard touchdown pass. So I think the Bears are big fucking trouble. I think Mac is pedestrian now. He's not getting the quarterback. Hicks is older now. The defense is a big fucking problem. I didn't think Andy Dalton was really a fucking issue. I thought he was fine. The play calling is horrible. He gets the ball out quicker than any NFL quarterback because the line is shit, so it's hike and throw. But it's the play caller more than I think Dalton's fine. I don't think he's even close to a fucking issue with this team. It's way more the secondary of that fucking defense, which if that's the case with that offense on the other side, I will take those 2.5 points, but I will take the Bengals to win flat out.
I didn't see enough of that game last Sunday, but all I do know is that, because I mean, I'd had enough of football at that point, as you said. Like,
which game? You didn't see the Bears one?
Yeah, on the Sunday Night Football. I'd had enough by that point. But
Sure.
The thing is that this was one of the games that I ended up getting right, where I took the Rams to cover the spread. And unlike the San Francisco game, when the spread continued to get bigger and bigger from 7 to 7.5 to 8, the Rams still covered it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't an issue. Well, San Francisco should have covered as well. We'll get to that later. But I think the Bears win this. I think this is going to be a letdown spot for the Bengals. They're coming off a win, and then obviously the equivalent, which is a bounce back spot here for the Bears. I actually thought the Bears were playing okay on Sunday from what I watched, and then they made a few stupid mistakes and fell apart in the second half. When you consider the opponent, look at the difference though.
Yeah,
the Rams are supposed to be Super Bowl contenders, and I don't think off the back of that you could turn around and say Chicago is shit. You will, because you're too close to it as a fan.
Yeah,
but I think like what the market does here is that it overrates the Bengals and then it underrates Chicago off that. Since Cincinnati last week, they didn't put a ton of offense together for what it's worth. Like we're going up against like Minnesota.
You gotta say, is Cincinnati good or is Minnesota bad? I think Minnesota might be bad.
I mean, if you look at the numbers on that and consider that they played a whole, almost five quarters, if that's not possible, but five periods, their numbers aren't too bad, and they should have lost that game. Minnesota had 12 accepted penalties in that game, and the offensive numbers are still not that great. So I think that Bears will end up just bouncing back and winning this game. I'm trying to find a statistic here, which
it's
is
Andy
really
Dalton
good
against his old team too, so maybe that helps.
Yeah,
So
the best one I found was Cincinnati's 1-4 against the spread in its past 5 after a win. So in the last 5 wins they've had, 4 times out of 5 they've not covered the spread before. In this instance, the spread is they're getting 2 points. So it's they could actually lose this game. But for them to not cover the spread, they would need to lose by more than 2. So if they lost by 1, or they would still be covering the spread. I'm seeing it 2. You're seeing it 2.5.
Yeah, and it was at 3 earlier this week, and now it's gone to 2.5. So I'm like, at 2.5, you almost think it's who's going to win it? Because, I mean, sure, games end by 1 point, but,
Do you think you see more of Justin Fields because the coach said that they didn't use him because the score was just bad?
Yeah, which really makes no sense, because why wouldn't you put him in if you're already getting your ass whooped? That's when you get some time. Yeah, I mean, they put him in for 1 throw, and the guy I listen to, former Bears player, I play the clips on the Lingus Mafia show all the time. Fucking guy on the radio, old man, screaming that they put Fields in. Because Dalton walks him down to the fucking red zone, and then they switch quarterbacks. What the fuck? You don't want. I mean, everybody's gelling together and rolling. You don't put. It's the stupidest thing. You either start with a guy, give a guy a series. Then you go okay until they turn over the ball. You're in, and then vice versa, same thing. But don't walk all the way down. And then it wasn't like he was in a wildcat package. They completely pull him out. So it was stupid. And Fields scored a touchdown on one where they just he took off and ran. They were 5 yards out or whatever. But I think Fields will have more this week, and this is the games to do it against where it's a lower team, and then I think he'll have more the next week. And I'm thinking by week 5, kind of he gets in. But if it worked out, they should be 2-2, maybe. But now I'm thinking they won't be because I don't think Cincinnati's a fucking pushover. I like I said, I put it more on the fucking defense than I do on the offense. The offense, I guarantee the Rams would have scored 50 points if this was last year's offense with Mitch, because they didn't do any 3 and outs. They actually moved it a little bit and kept the ball and kept time. The other years they never kept any time. So it would be give the ball back, they would score. So it was nearly every time the Rams scored a fucking touchdown. And it was like craziness, throwing bombs. So, and not one pass was over 9 yards by the Bears in the air. Not one pass.
But this is an opportunity to do that because this isn't the Rams. This is a team that Cincinnati gave up 336 yards in the air last week.
See, but that's also the thing too is how I don't know about Cincinnati's pass rush because I know the Bears' offensive line has a real rough time. They lost 2 more tackles this week during that game. So they were down 1 to start the game. They got a guy that was retired. He got hurt in the first. Then they put a rookie in there who they drafted in the 6th round or whatever. He gets hurt right away. So they're using a guy from a different position over there. And this is where the coach is horrible. He does not play for his strength or his personnel. He goes, you're fitting into my play calling like it's playing a video game. And he goes, we're running to the left. You don't have a fucking tackle. Why would you run that direction? Fuck it. He just goes. And it's like, it's a bad fucking coach when it comes to calling fucking plays. So instead of like, okay, well, let's have a tight end come in. And he'll be on that side. So you get 2 guys blocking at least. No, they don't think about that. It's just bad. So I know my coaching staff and I know this fucking team. I say the Bengals win outright.
We'll see. We're in disagreement again.
All right, here's a surprise from last week. The 1-0 Houston Texans going into Cleveland, who is 0-1 as well. That should have won the game, but they remembered they were the Cleveland Browns. Taylor, the quarterback of Tyrod Taylor for Houston, we know he is not garbage. He's very capable. It's not like they don't have anybody, but we know that they don't have anybody else on the team, it seemed. But they fucking fucked with Jacksonville. Like, they beat them pretty fucking good. It was like, there was never a chance where you go, fuck, Jacksonville going to come back. They got to do this. I started thinking, they're going to do this. They're going to do this. And it was like, fuck, it never happened. And they beat them. They are, the Cleveland is favored by 12.5, though. That scares me. 12.5 is a lot. So saying that, I think I will take Houston with the 12.5, but I will not be betting on this game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't like to take anybody past 10 unless it's
later in the season when we know what the team is. Because right now, I kind of don't know that Houston is the total garbage yet. We got to see them for 3 weeks or 4 weeks to know if they are just a fucking wreck and they happen to win the first one, like Jacksonville did last year against Indy. Then they lost all the rest because you go, fuck, maybe Jacksonville's not that bad. And then they couldn't win a game. So maybe it's the same thing here.
Yeah, I mean, that was a very winnable game that they started out with at home to Jacksonville. If you're not going to win that one, then you potentially could go 0-17. But I think they'll take confidence from that. And also, I think, with the Bengals coming here and seeing this team, they'll be looking ahead to next week and obviously still reeling from what happened. They'll think, we almost beat the Chiefs. We should easily win this game. And also, with this kind of number, even if they are out ahead, you get that backdoor bullshit with this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when your 11-12 comes into play. So I can see the Browns being the type of team that do let people through the back door, because they're the type of team that threw away a game last week.
Yeah, they don't step on anyone's throat at all.
No, so that's why I was going to take the 11.
Okay, so yeah, 12, and it's 12.5. So
12.5. Sorry, yeah, sorry, it was 11 when I looked earlier. Yeah.
Okay, the Rams, who are 1-0, go into the Indianapolis Colts, who are 0-1. And this it changed from 4 to 3.5 in a couple days. And it's the Rams favored. You worry about that letdown thing, don't you? Like it's like they get a little too confident, and now they're on the road and have a hard time in the beginning because Indy is not complete garbage. But 3.5. I would go with the Rams still. I think the Rams are powerhouses.
Yeah. I think Montgomery last week had a decent game, didn't he? He was averaging 6.8 yards per carry, and I think he ended up with 108. So they have Jonathan Taylor, who's better. So I can imagine that they change their game plan up and alternate things. I find it difficult to see them losing 2 weeks in a row here. And the Rams, they've got the Bucks coming up ahead as well. So I believe that's at home as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
are they looking ahead?
Yeah, not looking ahead necessarily, because obviously this is the easier game, and you're in a division where you can't take many losses. Like you need 11 wins to get out of that division or potentially win it. And if you don't win that division, you're on a road game as the number 5 or 6 seed. So I think that despite all of that, I still think that Indianapolis will find a way to win this game, because it's just a case of you're looking at the Rams after last week. They beat Chicago. We don't know how good or bad Chicago are, but they beat them pretty easily. Stafford looked to have fitted in, and everybody's now taking notice of the Rams. But at the start of the year, I mean, prior to all of that COVID issues and the foot injury and everything, everybody was looking at Wentz as being a solution at the Colts, looking at them being divisional winners. They were even 2.5-point favorites against Seattle, and that ended up with Seattle being the 2.5-point favorites, just simply because there was so much bullshit going on with Wentz, with the COVID and the injury and all of that kind of stuff. But now, look, he's come in and played a game, and he's going to have a full week of practice with no issues. So I think he can be better. And he wasn't that horribly bad last week in terms of, okay, Seattle won the game pretty easily. As me betting it, I was never in doubt about it. But I think that sometimes in this league it's fucked. It's completely different to other sports where you see one team get beaten pretty badly and you see one team beat someone pretty badly. It doesn't necessarily translate to it happening the next week. And I think I'll just apply that rule here where we won't just blindly go with the if something's obvious and it sticks out to me and you have all of the data there in terms of this team can't defend the run and the other team run all the time, or this team have got, if you're coming up against Aaron Rodgers and you have the worst pass defense in the league, like that's that lends itself to covering the spread. But in this instance, I just don't see anything here where anything that makes me confident of taking the Rams. So I'll just take the underdog instead. I'll take the home team who need to look better. Otherwise, they're in a situation where they turn around and go, "Oh my God, how shit are Indianapolis? How finished is Carson Wentz? Like, what a terrible trade that was." Like, so yeah, all of that starts this week, especially with two home defeats as well. By the way, if they do lose this.
Okay, so that is Indy and the Rams. We're different on a lot. We've only been same on Houston. Buffalo. Man, it's gonna be fun. Buffalo 0-1. Very surprising last week against the 1-0 Miami Dolphins. This was 3.5.
Texans and Steelers were two picks that I changed. I know I was on Bills, and I know I was on Jags, I think, on this show,
Mm-hmm.
but I actually took the opposite when it came down to it. I didn't put Texans out as a play, but I definitely started to really like the Steelers, because like when I was looking through it from last year and weighing everything up, there was still a team that started 12-0, and there hadn't been too many differences to the roster. It's just a lot more people were higher on Cleveland and Baltimore from that particular division. So yeah, I just felt like people were too high on Buffalo. Plus, that started to become the number one bet game, along with San Francisco and the Rams. The Bills were sandwiched in there as taking the most money from the public, and that was starting to put me off as well, because that started to move towards 7. I still got it at 6.5, but there were periods where it was 7. What's this game? You got Buffalo laying 3 or 3.5?
It's only 3. It was 3.5. It is down to 3, and it is in Miami. I think Buffalo needs to make a statement here. Doesn't help that it's in Miami, in the fucking hot like that, but I will still take Buffalo to win and cover.
Yeah, I mean, after all the hype coming in, I saw people picking Buffalo to make the Super Bowl and to win it and to win the Super Bowl. And they've made improvements from last year. Look, this is the 13-win team last season, right? They could be an 0-2 team here. This is not the easiest game. They could be an 0-2 team here. So in order to repeat or to better what they did last year, they would need to win every game but one. And then to equal what they did last year, they would need to go 12-2 for the remainder of the season, because it's 17 games now. So, 13-4, I guess that's equal. I mean, 13-4 is worse than 13-3, so it's difficult to compare. But my point is that they're going to be in nowhere near a situation to do what they did last year. Already off that loss, it looks unlikely. But here, going 0-2, that's going to put them in a real situation to even fight for the division. Suddenly, if Miami win this, they would become, I guess, favourites to win the division. I'm not sure if that will be official in terms of the books solidifying that by doing that. But yeah, I mean, last week, here's the weirdest stat of the whole week. Do you want to hear the weirdest stat of the whole week? All right, so Buffalo were favourites to win the division. Titans were favourites to win the division. Packers were favourites to win the division, and Cowboys were favourites to win the division, right? Mm-hmm. All of them lost their matches last week. Mm-hmm. All of them, as a result of week one, ended up finishing the weekend as stronger favourites to win their division. So Packers went from 8-11 to 1-2. So in order to win $100 on the Packers, I don't know how 8-11 translates, but you would need to have put on approximately $130.
Do you think that's because they saw what the rest of that division did? Because everyone looked like shit, so they go, well, now we're for sure they're going to win.
And this is my point. So this is what happened throughout. Washington were a second favorite. They lost, and Dallas looked good against Tampa, so they became a stronger favorite. Uh-huh. Tennessee got fucked. Like, they got embarrassed. They looked really bad. Yeah. But the Colts didn't compete really against Seattle. So as a result of that, Tennessee got slightly shorter. That was the slightest line movement. And what was the other one I just said? Buffalo, yeah. So the Buffalo got not as strong. Green Bay got the strongest. They went all the way to minus 200. So they were around, let's say for argument's sake, some of the worst books had them at 4-6, minus 150. So you'd have to put on 150 to win 100. Green Bay, now you have to put 200 to win 100. They got much, much stronger. With the Buffalo Bills, they are now at that minus 150, where you need to bet 150 on them to win. Before that, you would have had to bet 125. Because they were not as strong a favourite. But off the back of New England losing, who are supposed to be seen as the real big threat, which is weird to me because Miami and New England were rated fairly equally in the odds. But off New England losing, Buffalo strengthened. So I've never seen that before. And the opposite happened in terms of Tampa and Kansas. They won their games last week, Tampa and Kansas, and they became lesser favourites, very, very slightly, but lesser favorites because, you know, they look to have no challenge at all. And suddenly I think the books went, maybe New Orleans are going to be good again. And there is going to be between New Orleans and Tampa. Maybe the Chargers are good. I mean, it was to a lesser extent with the line movement with the Chiefs. They pretty much stayed the same. So they didn't improve as a result of their victory. But Tampa, they definitely weakened. And it got closer between them and New Orleans in the market, despite the fact that Tampa won. Not convincingly either. So, that pissed me off with my lock last week. I already knew week 1 was going to be shit. When the moment that fucking idiot fumbled the ball, it was Godwin, I think. Godwin last week. When he fumbled when it was about to cover the spread, and then they went fucking behind, I knew this week was going to be shit. Because that home team, the Super Bowl champions opening up at home, they always fucking win and cover. And that just set the tone for a fucking shitty week. Getting back onto this game, I agree with you. I just think Buffalo win. I think that they can't lose again.
Yeah, they're up against it here.
And the number's too small for me to get clever and think, Miami will cover 3. It's too small. Like, Buffalo win, they should cover 3.
The Patriots, who are 0-1, going into the 0-1 Jets. This was 5.5. It is now the Pats favored by 6. I think that they should be very easily to cover this. Belichick, this is not going to happen, and it's not going to happen to the fucking Jets.
No, I think they'll win this by double digits. Yeah, I think it's a good bounce back spot for them. I mean, they won that game against Miami, and then they blew it. Like they fucking blew that game. There was no way that they were not going to win from that point before that fumble. The Jets' offensive line struggled against Carolina, so this is a better defense here. And that was before they lost their starting left tackle last week as well. Becton got injured with a knee injury in the second half. I think this will be a better performance again, like from Mac Jones, who was also good last week anyway. But I think he'll be better with another week under his belt. And I think they win by 10, 15 points here. I don't think this is really going to be an issue. I think this is a really good line. What are you seeing it at? 6?
It's at 6. It went from 5.5 to 6.
Yeah, it was at 4 at one point when it opened. Should have jumped on it. There were 2 lines I jumped on really early this week. One was Giants +4, and then the other one will come up shortly. I'll tell you what it is. So
the next one, I want to get your opinion before I tell you mine, and it's San Francisco going into Philly. And San Francisco, it was 3.5. It is now 3.
My opinion is San Francisco did everything that they needed to do last week and then just fucking switched off. And the Philadelphia Eagles beat Atlanta, who look like they're going to be awful. And, there's a lot of talk at the moment this week about the Eagles, and there's a lot of talk in contrast about the 49ers, about how they may not be as good as people thought they were. I think this line will change. I think Eagles are a pleasant surprise, but now they're facing a team who are supposed to be Super Bowl contenders, not the fucking Falcons. I think Shanahan would have his team focused after looking at what they did at the end of that game. They're never going to do that again. I mean, there'll be teams that beat them just out of pure skill, but it won't be because this team are fucking falling asleep. I think that took away so much from what should have been a 14, 20-point win to start the season. I think they're almost going to reset here, and they'll humble Philadelphia. They'll beat them, I think, easily. Much like the last game, I think they'll come in and cover this easily. This is a field goal. It'll be more than a touchdown.
I agree with. I think they will beat the shit out of Philly. However, this is what I'm hearing over here, and this is what I hear from Fausti, hear from Gregorio. They tell me, because they're busy with their team, of course, and this does give me pause, and this is why this point system is doing this. They lost both corners, their 2 corners, and they lost their running back. The running back is out for the year. So backups are in. That is the scary issue. I just don't think it's enough to, if they were playing a very good team, I understand. I However, here we go again with the injuries, and this was the only reason they were garbage last year, is everyone was fucking hurt. However, I mean, Mostert being hurt, I mean, he's a good fucking runner. That's a big thing, but it's very much so they plug in the other guy and he's on fire. You know, so it's it's that offense, it's that coach. So he's that coach I have, you know, high respect for because he's a real fucking coach. He knows what the fuck he's doing. So I think he's got that Belichick form to where, okay, next man up, and they fucking try to work things. Last year was a little too much. It was a little overwhelming. I mean, eventually, if everybody's fucking out, you're not going to do much. But that's where they're worried about actually straight out losing this game. Me, on the other hand, not being close to them, I think they shouldn't have to worry about this. And I would take some.
I think for me, like the clinching factor is the fact that they stayed on the East Coast after the Detroit game. They haven't gone back to San Francisco.
Oh, really? I didn't even hear that.
And I think like that puts you in some serious like mindset where it's like, you know, I'm not going home to see my family. I'm fucking here with the coach. We're training every day. We're fucking eating whatever the nutritionist and dietitianist like have us on. Yeah, to me, it's like fucking, you know, it's like a militant like camp, and in terms of, I think that will yield a positive result from being in Detroit to staying in the East, spending this whole week. It's like almost preparing for two games in one. And as I said, they won that game essentially by 3 touchdowns, and then decided to switch off, took off Bosa and all this bullshit. So. Yeah, I think they'll win and cover.
The Vegas Raiders with what a game on Monday. Who watches Monday Night Raw? Fuck that. Holy God, that was a fucking game. And, you know, there's all these Raider fans here in my area because they used to be here. And they were like, they lost years of their life from that game where they thought the game was over. Nope, you're on the half-yard line. Then you can't run it in. Then there's a false start, and then there's an interception in the end zone. Only to get the ball back again and then score. They are going into Pittsburgh, who is 1-0 after beating Buffalo. I actually think Vegas is going to win this game outright. I cannot go and say Pittsburgh is still, you know, good, because when we started this last week, I said I don't think Pittsburgh makes the fucking. I think they're finally under 500, and I don't think they make the playoffs.
But why though? When they're essentially the same team.
I think they have a bad offensive line, and I think I don't trust Ben to be that good. And I mean, they're sure as fuck look to prove me wrong this fucking last week. But I'm really looking forward to them playing in their own division and seeing how they do against Cleveland and how they do against Baltimore. And we'll get to Baltimore's troubles next. But I'm taking Vegas. They're giving 6, and I'll take Vegas with the points because, I mean, I'm picking Vegas to fucking win, which, you know, Fausti did make a point. He goes, it's West Coast traveling east. That scares me. That worries me. I don't know how soon they got there. It was a shorter week. All that. Sure. Yeah. So it's kind of a long shot for me, but that's my balls of steel pick.
Yeah, this was the other game that I picked out, and I locked this up as soon as the fucking last week started to go wrong. I got my head down with week 2. I'm a lot more fucking focused this week. I have more information, data, etc. And this was the one I wanted to hit straight away. And this is before Vegas won. Vegas winning and playing that overtime as well only helped it even more, because now they're celebrating their big comeback, all the emotion of winning that game, and now they have to come here 10 a.m. specific time against arguably like the number 1 front 7 in football. The Raiders are 1-7 ATS in the last 8 games after playing on a Monday night. John Gruden is 15-25 ATS in his career after a straight-up underdog win. What else have I found here? The Steelers are 5-1 ATS, in their past 6 September games as well. So there's so much, because first of all, I found the play, and then I tried to find reasons why it was the right play or the wrong play. And for everything that I found, it told me it was the wrong play. Steelers looked good last week. I mean, they're in the same situation. They got that big win, but they're coming home. They're coming home now to their supporters, and they've always been good here in front of their supporters. I know they lost here last year in the playoffs against Cleveland, but look at the fucking start of that game. That was just a fucking freak show thing with that snap and everything like that. And they were still, I think, when they were going for 16-0, and all of a sudden they couldn't win a game anymore, and suddenly it was like, Jesus, now we're winning every week, and now we can't lose. And the thing, even when they ended, it didn't end in a play. Everybody was going, oh, when are they going to lose? Who are they going to lose to? I can't remember who beat them, but it wasn't supposed to be who beat them. If you remember, it was just, Jesus, they lost to them, and then it was like, and then everything crumbled. This is still the same team that managed to go on a 12-0 run, and I understand there's more weight behind Baltimore and Cleveland rightfully so. I think Cleveland will win this division, but I still think Pittsburgh will get there, and I still think they'll have a winning record. And I started to feel this way once I really. Sometimes you're swayed by a lot of other people. No one's talking about Pittsburgh, and they're talking about Bills as Super Bowl winners. So immediately when we come on on the Wednesday show, off doing our other show with the 2 other guys, I was like, oh yeah, Bills under a touchdown, I'll take it. And then as we got nearer the week, and my members will confirm this, Pittsburgh became a play for me where I was going to go against the Bills. I didn't know if they'd win, but I thought that they would lose by less than a touchdown. In this instance, you've got everything that falls into place. All of the numbers, Gruden's record, Raiders' record after a Monday night, teams going to play 10 a.m. coming from the fucking West Coast, short week as well, short week that went into overtime, massively emotional win. Like, this is just a big letdown. It's going to be a massive letdown. I don't think that the Raiders are particularly good. I don't think that they're going to get through to the playoffs, and they're going to be games where you'll really see who they are. And I think that this is going to be one of them. I picked this out. I picked this out so early, and nothing's like put me off it.
Okay, and that first loss was to Washington.
Washington on the road.
No, they were at home.
Yeah, that's right. That's why it was so surprising, because they were like double-digit favorites.
And then they lost to the Bills, and then they lost to the Bengals, and then they beat the Colts, and then they lost to the Browns, and then they lost to the Browns. That was it.
Well, I mean, the Browns, they let the Browns beat them because they'd already won the division, and they couldn't get any higher than number 3. So they let the Browns beat them in the last week.
And then they got hammered, in the next one,
And then the Washington one was a big surprise. It was just a case of, at that time, I was Philadelphia were falling apart, and I had my money on the Giants. And the way it worked out was the Giants were going to win the division. So that was the win that swung it all, because nobody had that win on their guesses. So I think that was when we found out that Washington were actually going to be quite good, or at least they had a really good defense.
Now, this next one is the 1-0 New Orleans Saints against the 1-0 Carolina Panthers. This has been steady at 3.5 only for New Orleans, which I'm surprised, because like we say, right, Vegas gets hyped up from a fucking crazy win or something, and it reflects in this. And it hasn't. You would think they would get more points here. And I was hearing a guy today on the radio saying, I think Carolina is going to win flat out. And I'm like, oh my. I'm like, well, that made me fucking pause, because I'm thinking 3.5 only? Fuck, I take New Orleans here.
This is rough, this game. Like, this is one of the ones where I'm not sure where to go with it. But Pittsburgh is moving to that Pittsburgh game, by the way, is moved back to 5.5.
Oh, really?
Keeps going between 5.5 and 6 all throughout the week. I'm going to try and catch one of these 5.5s at some point. I mean, I already told my clients to grab it at 6 because I thought it would move towards 7. But I think a lot of people saw that Raiders game, and they're making the mistake the public make, which is wanting to now bet the Raiders. That's what happens. You lose money sometimes because of a team, and then you start betting them straight away. This game, I'm not too sure what to do with it. I can see Carolina winning this game at home.
Division, you know.
I'm trying to work out how bad we were and how good New Orleans were, or whether it was a combination of.
I can't imagine the Packers are that bad. It can't be, unless it's a lot of that fucking off-season shit that is stuck with them. Where if the wheels start coming off, then you're going to start seeing people saying "fuck you," because you can't be like, "I'll show up when I want to," and then suck. You know, you better be fucking hot to the touch if that's what you're doing, and then it's going to cause people to be pissy. But I mean, Winston did not look like his old self, 100%, because he held on to the ball where normally he would have chucked it, and he thought about it more, which makes you think, fuck, maybe he fucking got it together, and that's the difference of having a fucking, you know, Sean Payton as a coach.
I think Winston will have a good game. I looked at already one of the props that we looked at this week was Winston.
You know what? I said Sean Payton, and my Apple Watch searched him and gave me a stat.
when we were looking at the early props for the week, I don't know if you've looked at any, but Winston's yardage for this game was only 225, and I think that he will throw for over 225 yards. I think that what happened last week was a lot down to
turnovers, close. Yeah, it was a lot of. They didn't have far to go.
Where's this game? This game's in Carolina, isn't it? But New Orleans have got one more game in Jacksonville. Like they have to play the next home game in Jacksonville, then they go back home for their third game, right?
I don't know if they'll be good to go or not. I don't know if that's said yet.
It's crazy we got killed by that much on a neutral field.
However, did you hear the stat about Green Bay going to California and Florida?
No.
It's like they're 4-11 or something. It's like crazy. They can't win in California and Florida.
Okay.
And everywhere else, they're like, you know, well above the fucking win totals and shit like that. So it's a real weird thing.
I really want to get up to date on that Aaron Rodgers stat. I really want to know what the percentage is. I remember what it was. I can't remember what it was when I told you, but it was shocking when I told you in the first place. And now it's only got worse because, you know, the losses he's had since then. I don't know if he was down in any of those other games. I don't know if people even know what we're talking about. So there's this stat where if Green Bay go behind under Aaron Rodgers by just 1 point, just a single point, they lose over half of those games. In fact, it was well over half. It was something in the 60s or 70s.
I'm typing it in, trying to find it.
It'll be so hard to find. It's so specific.
Okay.
It'll be Rodgers losing record when.
Yeah. There's one right away. It says debunking this one crazy stat about Aaron Rodgers. So that's got to be what they're talking about. Oh, it claimed. No, this can't be. It claims he is 0-42 by trailing by 1 point. No, that can't be.
No,
no,
that can't be right because he's made some comebacks before. We were losing to Detroit when he threw that Hail Mary.
Yeah. Oh, this one's different though. This one is someone saying Aaron Rodgers is 0-2 in his career when trailing by more than a point in the fourth quarter against a team with a winning record.
Yeah, there'll be loads of specifics, the way people will chop that up and find different bits from it. I mean, I could genuinely believe he's 0-42 ATS, which means that they haven't, because Green Bay have some big spreads. I can truly believe that he may be 0-42 ATS when behind, because I don't think he's ever made a comeback where we've come back and beat the shit out of somebody. But I'm sure we've made comebacks as an underdog. I'm sure. I'm trying to think I'm trying to think when we beat Dallas, when Dallas were really hot and the people were talking about them winning the Super Bowl, and then we beat them on the road if we were ever down in that game. I can't remember. we're going way back now. But yeah, I don't know. 0-42, even ATS seems a bit far fetched.
Yeah.
To stay on this game though, I think that I'm leaning New Orleans to get the cover. I would take it down to 3 though, because I think this would be a tight divisional game.
Yeah, I like this anyway, even though I get nervous when somebody says they think Carolina's going to win. Denver 1-0 going into Jacksonville 0-1, and Denver is favored by 6. God, I mean, I'm not high on Denver at all, but the way Jacksonville looked, and Denver's a real good defense. They're going to fuck with Lawrence. They're going to be showing him crazy fucking looks. And just thinking about that now with how good Denver's defense is, I think they cover this, actually. I think they'll win by a touchdown at least.
No, I've gone for Jacksonville.
Okay.
I just think that you can't look that bad again this week. I mean, this is a team who are projected to have 6 wins this season. So if they don't win games like this, or they don't compete in games like this, they're going to be a team that don't even have 2 wins this season. I think, what was the stat on Lawrence is that he'd never lost in regular season in his
high
career.
School and college, never lost a game in the regular season.
Whereas Bridgewater's now 22-3 ATS on the road as a starting quarterback. So that's a ridiculous statistic. It's a statistic I almost want to just blindly get behind.
Yeah.
22-3 on the road as a starting quarterback. It's just hard. Yeah, it's going to be down to whether he can, how the defense plays this week, and whether he can overcome whatever they're doing this week, and whether it's not just down to him. Like Jacksonville last week, their defense gave up a load of points. So I think the key would be. Do you remember when Jacksonville were the elite defense just a couple of years ago?
Yeah, against in New England, they had that fucking game won to go to the Super Bowl, and they fucking blew it.
Hello?
Yeah, can you get me?
Yeah. So what happened? Did they lose all those guys?
I do. Yeah, a lot of them did leave. A lot of them left. Yeah. Hell, one of them went to fucking Minnesota and hadn't done shit there.
I think this total was high. I think I played a total of 45 here. I think I'd go under. I don't see a lot of scoring from any of them. I think that's
the scoring's going to be rare.
I think Jacksonville will their defense will be better. I think Denver will be better, as good as last week, but some slight regression. So I think that will aid towards it being close. I think Denver will win. I'm just not sure about the 6. But then Bridgewater's record, 22-3 ATS, is covering spreads. So I'd prefer to just take the total here and just sit off the rest of the game. If I have to, I pick Denver. But I'm getting 5.5 now. Are you getting 6 still?
6.
Right.
As of today. So are you taking Jacksonville with a 6?
Yeah, okay. Let's take Jacksonville with a 6. Yeah.
Okay. Just for stat purposes. Minnesota 0-1 going into Arizona, who, holy Lord, fucking Murray looked like it was a fucking all-star, superstar. You see that running around, going forward, bouncing backwards? Fuck, he looked fucking great. They looked great.
Yeah, except these fucking arseholes, along with the Titans, I had a total of 53.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know it was on 51 with 8 minutes left in the third quarter?
Wow.
And it stayed on 51.
Holy shit. You had to be like, this one's over. Fuck.
I stopped looking at it.
Wow. That's brutal. This one was 4.5, and now it's 3.5 in favor of Arizona. I think that helps, actually, because now they only got to win by 4. So I will pick Arizona. It's in Arizona. We're going to see if Minnesota's down like they, because they lost to Cincinnati. And Arizona's got another high-powered offense, which so did Cincinnati. So if it's the same type of shit like that with a little better defense, they should be able to win this game.
Yeah, I don't know how Arizona did what they did last week in terms of stopping the run, because the game plan for, in my opinion, the game plan of playing Minnesota and playing playing the Titans is pretty much the same. You want to stop the run, which is what Arizona did last week, and then put the ball in the hands of the quarterback. Now, last week is Cousins. This week is Cousins. Last week was
Tannehill.
Sorry, I said Mariota because Tannehill. Yeah, last week was Tannehill. So this week you have that with Kirk Cousins, who I think is even worse. So I expect Minnesota to have then also issues with the attack on the ground and in the air that Arizona have. And I think that leads to them just getting it done. Don't know about this number still. I'd like to get it at the 3 in case this is one of those field goal games. I'm just wondering, again, if Minnesota can be as bad as they were last week. I mean, nobody had the Bengals. I was just looking at that and thinking, how is it 3? Because, they're gonna run the ball here. Bengals are not going to be able to stop Burrows. Burrow's not going to be 100%. He's going to be worried about his knee. I just thought it was going to play out so differently to what it did. So I don't know who Minnesota are. Again, if they do win, if the Cardinals do win this game, then we have no competition whatsoever in our division. So it just gives Green Bay even more time to get right, which they should get right this week. I'm not sure that they will, but they should be able to get it right this week whilst Minnesota are losing another game.
Okay, so we're both on that one. Atlanta 0-1 going into Tampa Bay 1-0. 12.5 points Tampa's giving. Oof. I would like to say Tampa should fuck that. 12 is always a motherfucker. This is another game I stay the fuck away from. But 12.5, huh? You know what? Fuck it. I'd go with Tampa Bay to put up more points to be able to. And they're at home still, so fuck it. I'll take Tampa, but I would advise not to bet on this game.
Yeah, the golden rule usually in betting this is don't lay more than double digits in a divisional game, which is what this is. Like, this is a rivalry game that you think that Atlanta should get up for.
Yeah, they should be pissed off at Tom still.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. And
did you see the trolling he did this week? Tom?
No.
Oh, my God. He's on his Instagram going, good win this week. We're going on to Atlanta. Let's keep it rolling. In the background, his computer, you could barely see it. Like somebody had to search for it. The time on the clock is, I believe it was 3:28. I'm like, oh, my God. Talk about busting fucking balls, man.
Oh, that's what they were up
3 to
28.
It's on the clock in the background. I'm like, holy fuck, man. Oh, no, I was like, no wonder the video was all short and quick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you should be incentivizing teams. There's always fine margins in the NFL, like in terms of who's good, who's bad, because look, coming out of that college system and everything and getting yourself through to the NFL and everybody watches college football and the percentage of people that actually get to play in the NFL. It's fucking terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, all of those guys don't even make it to Canada for their shitty football. So that's the thing. Like, it's the fucking elite of the elite at this. And if you're complacent or you're switched off or you have the wrong injury or a team are a little bit more motivated than you, like, it can be a big leveler. That's why we see this kind of shit, like where the Packers got killed last week, or we see upsets of teams who are massive favorites just losing. So I don't think that Tampa will lose this game, but 12 or 12.5 now is just way too much. It's a divisional game. Atlanta and Tampa play each other every season anyway. Plus, you have that Brady thing as well here for Atlanta as well. Mm-hmm. Ryan versus Brady again. I don't know if they'll be aware of that trolling per se, but
well,
I think
it's all over the place about it. I'm sure they've heard it. I'm sure they've heard it, but I mean,
and that Tampa defense didn't look that elite last week when fucking Dak was throwing it all over the place and almost won the game.
Yeah, that defense didn't. That wasn't that great. I thought fucking, if anything, the Cowboys looked fucking great. I was like, oh, that's a good fucking team.
Well, that's the thing. These arseholes didn't look good till the fucking playoffs last year. They didn't look good anywhere. So
are you? I mean, we stay away from this, but for our purposes, what are you taking?
Yeah, I'm not so much stay away from it. I think it's a good angle to take Atlanta here. I think that the divisional game and Brady and all these factors factor in. So I think there are decent angles to take Atlanta here.
Okay. Dallas, who we were talking about, 0-1, going into the Chargers. And the Chargers are favored by 3.5. From what I hear is now the defensive lineman is out. Somebody's out with fucking COVID now. A Dallas friend of mine, he's like, don't take this fucking bet anymore. They're going to fucking get killed. They're going to get picked apart by fucking Herbert. He's going to, because there won't be a pass rush. They'll be picking them apart. So, I don't know. I still think Dallas looks good, and I don't think San Diego has some fucking, or San Diego, whatever they are, LA. I don't think they have some fucking scary defense. So I think their offense of Dallas will still be able to fucking give it to them.
Yeah, earlier on in this week, I looked at these lines, and I like Dallas in one of those teasers where you add on the point. What the hell's this? I've just seen.
What do you say?
They've already gone out, and WWE have already gone out and announced that Brock is facing Roman at Crown Jewel. So what's the fucking point of having that other pay-per-view before when you know the result of it? This company's so dumb. They're distractingly dumb. I'm not even doing anything to do with WWE right now, and I just look at that and think, Jesus, they're so fucking dumb. Yeah, so earlier on in the week, I picked out this teaser where I thought that I cannot see these margins being broken, and it was Dallas +9 and Minnesota +10.5. So I looked at that immediately and thought, I'm going to pair these two together because I don't think if I add 6 points onto Dallas, which is now 6.5, which now gets it to 9.5, and Minnesota is actually and Minnesota is actually less because that's moved, so that'll be a 10. But regardless, I still don't see them getting beaten big. But before that injury news, I was 100% on Dallas to win straight up on the money line because I thought they looked good enough last week, and I figured that they would come here and win this game. It's priced up as if these two teams are completely equal. That's what the 3 points usually means. It means the two teams are equal and there's 3 points here for home advantage. But this is going to be more like a home game for Dallas. There's no fucking Chargers supporters in LA.
Yeah, I know. This is going to be, it's going to be big for Dallas in LA.
And Dallas are like one of the most supported teams in the world. So I think Zach here moves on from week one, looks better, has more success in these matchups. And yeah, I mean, Zeke and Pollard should help here as well, open up things for Zach. You got Cooper, Lamb.
What do you call the quarterback? I thought you said that. What name do you use?
Dak.
I thought you said Zach. Multiple times. I'm like, he calling him Zach?
No, Zeke.
Zeke, I heard Zeke. I thought you were going to do like Russo and call him Kaz or something like that. So go ahead.
What do you think I was saying, Zach?
I heard Zach multiple times, and I'm like, what? Am I hearing shit? Okay.
I'm sure I was saying Dak. I'm sure I said Dak the whole time.
We're going to have to go back. Go into this show into 1 minute and 1 hour and 9 minutes. So you'll be able to hear. Go back. All right, so we're both on this Dallas that they should win. Especially, that's a great teaser. I really enjoy that. I think that's a really fucking good one.
Yeah. Is Zach Martin back for this game.
Oh, see, that's what you're saying with Zach. That's what I'm hearing, Zach, from that. I don't know.
I wasn't talking about Zach Martin before. I was saying
I'm like, all right, there it is. I don't know, but the main problem I think people are crying about is the defensive thing. But I don't think it was a big issue with him out last week for the offense. Didn't see. I mean, the problem is also they're not handing off the ball at all.
No, I don't think it was a problem, but like that's the thing. It's a bonus to have him back because it means you can do different things in this game. It also means that if he is playing, this total of 56 looks really fucking high because that's more ways for the clock to get milked as opposed to throwing it all the time. So there'll be less plays, and I think the line accounts for him not playing. Mm-hmm. Whereas if he was playing, I don't know if it'd be as high as 56. Could be 50, 53, 52.
I took Zeke like to have over 56 yards. They gave him the ball like 4 fucking times. I'm like, what the fuck? That's Mike McCarthy. I go, fuck, hand the fucking ball off once. They gave it to the other guy. I'm like, okay, great. So, this show's going a fucking long time. Tennessee 0-1 versus Seattle in Seattle. And the line moved from 5.5 to 6 for Seattle, giving Tennessee 6 points. That's, I mean, Seattle being at home, I think, and now until Tennessee proves that they haven't fallen off the fucking map, I would have to take Seattle here. Being at home and now finally the fans are back at that place, that's gonna be fucking loud. I'll take Seattle.
Yeah, I mean they just beat another team here in this division. So last week away from home. So I feel like they just roll here. Seattle are 17-1 straight up in home games in the month of September under Pete Carroll. So this for me is just a case of whether they cover the spread or not.
Yeah.
There's another stat here as well with Russell Wilson. If I can pull it up. Where are we? Oh well, this is when it was at 5.5 though. So I don't think it makes a significant difference. Russell Wilson is 9-0 straight up in home openers, which is what this is as well. So that's another one. Again, it's all straight up stuff. So this might be something that you want to add to teasers. I think I like it enough at 5.5, 6 to play it because I don't think it'll be particularly close. But I definitely think that like Seattle is a money line play to add to your little parlays this weekend with maybe Seattle and Pittsburgh without the points, something like that works.
Sunday night, it's Kansas City versus Baltimore. This will be fun. Kansas City is favored by 3.5. I think they should fucking cover this. After watching Baltimore, they don't have the running back problem that we thought they were going to because everybody was fucking injured on here. They have their corner out. That doesn't help them against Kansas City, and I think Kansas City started getting in the groove. Lamar Jackson, he needs to tuck that fucking ball away. And like I told Fausti, I said he needs to tuck that ball away like Nyla Rose because he runs with that fucking ball out, and that's going to cause – they're fumbling constantly. So I will take Kansas City here. I'm not even that particularly worried about this, even though it's in Baltimore.
It's weird because start of the season we had this down as a game where Kansas City could lose before Tampa do.
Mm-hmm. Just seeing how they were last. I mean, they should have fucking beat the shit out of the fucking Raiders.
Yeah, I wish they did because I had that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Chiefs. I think they have the Ravens number anyway. Since Andy Reid took over as coach, Kansas City's 4-0 against Baltimore, and they win by an average of 10.5 points per game. So I don't even think this is the strongest Baltimore team that they've come up against in that time, because there were Baltimore teams that were hot. I remember once when Baltimore were like red hot favourites to win the Super Bowl, and they didn't. They got smashed by Tennessee, I believe, that year. So I also don't think this. Looking at the tactical side of things, this man defense isn't going to work against Patrick Mahomes here with his receivers, especially like Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
So I think Hill and Mahomes will have a big game here, and Baltimore on the short week as well. Just lots of stuff here. I just think Kansas City are better, and I just don't see them Baltimore keeping up with Kansas City's scoring. So I think that again, like we said earlier, one game is a race to 20. I think they could put up 30 points here on Baltimore again.
Yeah.
I don't know how Baltimore allowed themselves to be in that position last week, because with 9 minutes to go, they're winning. They conceded again, and then there was like fucking 4 minutes to go, and they conceded again. They were just letting
that last there was 30 seconds or whatever, and it was like, okay, 2 throws, now it's time for a field goal. I'm like, what the fuck? So
when you look at that, you look at Mahomes, and you look at these receivers, and you look at Andy Reid's record against Baltimore. Yeah, this is like game of the week, and it's supposed to be like, a really tough spot for Kansas, but I don't think it will be. I think they're more likely to come stuck going away to the Raiders or someone like that. I think that's where they'll lose. I don't think they'll lose here.
Okay. Last game, and this is another one that I won't do anything to it. It's 0-1 Detroit against 0-1 Green Bay. And it's 11 points. It was 10.5. It has now grown to 11 in favor of Green Bay. I need to see more from Green Bay before I'm thinking they're destroying people. I think they should do this because this is that statement game. But this will show if they can or not. Because if they barely fucking win this one, then you got to start thinking there's issues going on. So I would think if they win, they should win by a lot. Otherwise, we know they're in trouble. But I wouldn't touch it because it's that double-digit shit.
Yeah. I think there's even a way to cover this and still not look good. And that's basically to let Detroit hang around in this game. I can easily see a situation where we're behind and we're not playing well and fucking, and then suddenly like we do pick up a touchdown in the third quarter, for example, that puts us up by 4 or 5. And then at some point, when they're chasing the game, we create a turnover from Jared Goff, and then we end up punching that in another touchdown. That is not a resounding victory, but that is a cover. So in that particular situation, I don't know, let's say we win 29-17, right? It would be because we added those 7 points. When we were 5 points up, we added 7 more points because they gave us the ball or something of that nature. You can see this being an untidy game, and I can also see it the thing is why I would maybe take the 11 is because instead of it being a back door where Green Bay look amazing and let them back in, I think it'll be a case of we're trying to pull away and just about manage to do. But I don't think you get any questions answered here about Aaron Rodgers by beating Detroit by, between 10, 14 points. I don't think it answers anything about the team either.
Yeah. Okay. What do you have for your lock? Now, I was going through with my guys, and I really like doing things to where when I've picked games, I will do some things to where I won't do it with point spread, but I will do a parlay of like 5 teams so it pays off better, where you're like, if you're sure that 5 teams are going to just flat out win, that's when you do a parlay, and you're going to get big fucking numbers when you do that many together. So I was trying to convince my guys to do that kind of stuff. But if I have to just say, okay, win with the points and all that kind of stuff.
No, you can do what you want, but yeah,
okay.
It's fine.
I'd rather do it with the points thing. I'll do that other thing on my own for sure, though, where I do that usually once every week. I'll do that to where I pick like 5 and say, okay, all I got to do is win, and one will always bite you. You know how that goes. I really like one of the ones you don't like. I like the Rams to win by more than 3.5, and I like the 49ers to win by more than 3. I'll go with the first one. I'll go with is San Francisco. That's my number 1 lock, and my number 2 lock is the Rams.
That's good because I'm more comfortable with that because my clients play your pick as part of my service. So that's and I didn't want there to be a play there that I'm completely against.
Yeah, like I'm like the Bengals locked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be supportive of the Bengals. I don't think that's a strong play this week. But you do, but I don't. My one's going to be Steelers. I picked it out a week ago. Well, pretty much as soon as football ended on Sunday, and I was like, right, I'm going to get my head down immediately. I already laid out all of the reasons earlier. As I said, West Coast going to. What is Pittsburgh? The East? Is it East?
Oh yeah.
West Coast. West going East. So you don't have North and South.
Not really. It's just time zones. That's why they do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I said West Coast going East early morning off a big win, less rest. Pittsburgh looked good last week. It's difficult to win in Pittsburgh. Gruden's got a bad record. Oakland have got bad records of Monday nights. Like all the stats we've already been through. Just solidified a pick that I immediately just picked and thought Las Vegas are going to struggle in this spot, like before they even beat Baltimore. And for me, that just adds even more to it. I didn't look at that and go, oh shit, they're good. They won that game. I thought, great, they won that game. They've actually now won a game. They're going to be really fucking happy and distracted this week. So yeah, but Pittsburgh don't do that. Not with their coach. If you look at the two coaches here, John Gruden doesn't beat Tomlin off a short fucking week in Pittsburgh. No way.
Okay. Do you have a secondary favorite?
I guess I kind of like the one you picked already. And then I also like
San Francisco.
Yeah, I like that one, and I like Chicago to bounce back this week as well.
Okay.
I don't think they'll lose that game.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going crazy putting money on it. That's for sure. And in my confidence picks, I think I have them like 2 or 3 or something like that for Cincinnati. So I'm not like going crazy, but I sure as fuck won't be
Seattle
surprised
as well. I forgot about Seattle.
See, that one scares me more because Tennessee's capable at least. Like, will you be crazy surprised if Tennessee fucking won? They're supposed to be fucking good, you know? I mean, the difference is, they're at Seattle. That's the only thing that gives you pause.
I mean, if I was putting out 2 picks, I wouldn't even do anything else against the spread. I would take the teaser on. I would take Minnesota up to 10 and Dallas up to, I believe it's 9.5. I think I would put those two together in a 2 teaser parlay.
Yeah, I really like that.
2-team teaser parlay. I think that's what I would do for secondary. But secondaries aren't official here, so we'll have some time to change our minds about all of this and look into it. But this week I did a lot more like, look, this is what I'm fucking doing. Like these are the numbers for it and everything. Like last week was a very casual approach. Like I don't particularly like recording the show on Wednesday. I know now we're going deep into the Thursday night game, but that 24 hours makes a lot of difference in terms of doing your statistical research and stuff. And for me, it doesn't. It's a whole day. Thursday's a whole day for NFL. Once the midweek soccer's out of the way for me on Tuesday and Wednesday. Today, like I get to put the hours in, and I feel better about my picks. I think I should at least go fucking 6 and 9 this week. So
yeah, you did sound way more prepared, that's for sure, and we're different on a shit ton. So we're gonna see how that goes. So that is our locks.
Go. It doesn't fucking matter. Like this, I've had weeks where I'm like prepared out of my mind, like playoff weeks and stuff. And it's like, I come away with it. I went, why didn't I write the fucking teams down, stick them on the board, and throw a fucking dart at them? Like, it can happen in this sport.
So. Very much.
But it's better like when you come in prepared, because it's like,
at least you have some education for it, yeah, and you don't feel like a fucking asshole, you know.
When someone comes around and goes, "Oh, I lost this money because of you," at least you can turn around and go, "Dude, did it sound like I didn't fucking try?"
Yeah. It's by far it sounds like you're putting in effort. So, you know, you're usually putting effort into podcasts, unlike some people that usually we do.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the thing. I mean, effort always goes into my service before we actually put anything out and go, "You are betting this." And I'm not saying a lack of effort went in, but it's like I was doing a lot in terms of raw numbers and opinions. I didn't dig into yardage and like for pass yardage and tackling yardage and defensive numbers and the thing is a lot of it was down to it being week one. It's like last season's numbers. There's stats on coaches. There's now stats that you can use, like where you're looking at Russell Wilson being 9-0 straight up in the home opener. Stuff like that would carry over from previous years. But a lot of the stuff in terms of relating to the players, there was nothing to go about. And even now, it's a little bit early. These podcasts really only get good, and you only really have really good information to go on 4 or 5 weeks in. At the moment, it's very surprising what we did last year, where we were so much better at the start of the year than we were at the middle.
Yeah,
so that's really rare.
All right, everybody. Where can we find all your official betting package and picks, Billy?
Yeah, it's all over at lockbetting.com. We're going for 100 months of profit this week. This month wasn't helped by week one, but I did land a load of props that we all sat down and worked on. Well, I me not so much, but other people. But yeah, so they saved week one for us. This week, hopefully, there's a load of props out already. If you sign up now, you'll be able to get those. If you sign up late, you'll probably lose a lot of the numbers on those props. But yeah, all of the official picks for the NFL, soccer, everything we do, all of the futures plays that we've all got out already, they're all over at lockbetting.com. If you haven't signed up by this week, I would probably just sit back and wait till October the 1st, because Patreon does bill you on the 1st of each month.
All right, everybody, join us next week. We will be doing this again, and we'll be doing it all football season. Check out all my nonsense at Lingus Mafia on Twitter, and you can see where to find my shows from there. That's always patreon.com/Lingus Mafia. So for Mr. Billy Body, I'm Cab Manning. Go make some money.
He could go all the way.